Good morning, Core Math 2 students. This is your Week 5 Lesson 1, and it is all about circle formulas. So this is the start of the new chapter. This is Module 7, and it's all about a geometric perspective and working with circles. So some of this you might find as a bit of review, and some of this you might find as new. Both of them are great for some practice and to make sure that you are ready for Core Math 3 next year. So just one quick reminder that to find the circumference, the distance around the whole circle, we would calculate pi times d, or you could calculate 2 times pi r. So just keep in mind that every time we see d in this context, it is the diameter of the circle. So that's the distance all the way across it going through the center. Meanwhile, r is always the radius. So that is the distance from the center of the circle out to the edge. And you might notice that if we put 2 of the radii together, so the plural of radius is radii, well then that makes up the entire diameter. So that's a good thing to know. The diameter is 2 times r. So that's why you can find the circumference using pi d or 2 times r times pi. They typically put pi in between them. And then lastly, the area formula for a circle is pi r squared. Pi r squared. So one way that I remember that pi r squared is the area and that it's not the other values is because, well, in area we have square units. And so r is squared here. So on Delta Math, you'll have some practice problems where they give you some worded expressions, and our job is to calculate different things to the nearest tenth. So let's say they tell us the radius of a circle is 14.4 feet, and our job is to find the circumference to the nearest tenth. Well, they have given us r. They've given us r. So we would want to use 2 times pi times r. So on Delta Math, we'll take 2 times pi, and you might have to go into the special functions to find the pi symbol. 2 times pi times the r value of 14.4. And then we can round to the nearest tenth. So this is 90.5 feet because we're just finding the circumference. So the distance is one-dimensional, like feet. Next up, here on example 2, they might tell us that the diameter of a circle is 3 centimeters, and then it wants us to find the circumference to the nearest tenth. So the circumference formula, using d this time, is just pi times d. So pi times 3 would be our calculation to make, pi times 3, and round to the nearest tenth. The circumference here is 9.4 centimeters. So what about area problems, the pi r squared formula? We don't have to choose between any formulas on that type. It's just pi r squared no matter what. So if they tell us the radius is 5 centimeters and they want us to find the area to the nearest tenth, we will take pi times the radius 5 squared. Okay, so pi times 5 squared. We can type that in exactly as it is shown. Try to get that out of the shadow there. And then round to the nearest tenth. So this is 78.5, and the label was centimeters, and because it's area, it is square centimeters. Delta Math takes care of the labels for us, so we don't have to worry about that part. We just have to get the number right. But what about example 4? This time they tell us the diameter is 7 inches, but our area formula is pi times the radius squared. So the first thing that we need to do is come up with the radius based on the diameter of 7 inches. Well, all the way across the circle is 7 inches, so halfway across the circle will be half of 7, or 7 divided by 2. So our radius is 3.5 inches. Now we're ready to use the area formula to take pi times 3.5 squared. So pi times 3.5 squared, and round to the nearest tenth. This is 38.5 square inches. So go ahead and take these examples, head on over to Delta Math, and try out those practice problems. Good luck out there.